And then I also do like mindfulness meditation, which is just like being aware of your thoughts and your here and your now. And I also do yoga. And I do just like meditation where I watch my thoughts and I either like entertain them if they're helpful or I let them go. So that's a few things. Yeah. So I'm going to keep going here. So what happens when we are meditating in our brain and our body? So today I am going to be reading from Right as Rain by UW Medicine. This is a website that I found, and the article is by Emily Boynton. And we're going to talk about this. So she says, nowadays it feels like people praise meditation as a cure for anything that ails you. Pain, stress, distraction. There's a meditation for every one of those things. But what is actually happening in your brain when you meditate? So Christopher Rhodes, a psychologist at Harborview Medical Center, notes that while there are various kinds of meditation, mindfulness meditation has been studied the most, which is something that I do most often is mindfulness meditation. Myself, Samantha. Mindfulness meditation is the very intentional awareness of the present moment in a non-judgmental fashion, he says. It's simple but not easy. And what I will say about this is mindfulness isn't easy, and it's because you have to really be aware of your feelings and your reactions. And most people don't want to do that because it reveals a lot about ourselves and our subconscious and the things we need to work through and maybe that we don't like about ourselves. And so it can be a really, really good practice, but it can also be a really revealing practice. So I agree with this author, or actually with Christopher Rhodes, the psychologist. Rhodes shares what mindfulness meditation is, the science behind the hype, and why meditation can be so helpful. So then the article goes down. I mean, I told you kind of why it's helpful for me, but we're going to look at this. How do you practice mindfulness meditation? So in mindfulness meditation, one focuses on a specific thing, oftentimes breathing to start with. And then you try to bring your attention to that anchor. So every time you do something or you get off topic, you go back to your middle ground or your default, which is basically what mindfulness meditation is. You're redoing your default network, so that when you get into that state of non-duality, you can just be in like observation mode. I don't know exactly. We could dig more into that, but basically the author says you can do it anywhere, anytime. There isn't a hard and fast protocol to follow, and you don't need to spend 300 hours to be trained on how to do it. And that's true also. And so he says, really, to practice this meditation, all you need to do is find a comfortable position and start to bring your attention to your breath. Sometimes it's helpful for people to focus on an area of their body, or scanning their body, like I need to relax my chin, I need to relax my jaw, I need to relax all the things, and moving down their body. That also helps you get into present moment awareness. So that's the one type of meditation that this author talks about. So let's move on to what happens to your brain when you meditate. Excuse my dog. He's always shaking and then his collar jingles, so excuse me. So this article says, for an activity that narrows your focus to the present moment, there is a lot that's happening in your brain. So when you're meditating, meditation develops various regions of your brain. So the more we learn about the brain, the more we know that the brain is actually a very plastic organ, meaning that it bends and you can push it and you can change its shape pretty easily. And the more you do something, the more developed that region gets, so the deeper the indent in the plastic grows. Your brain develops through neural connections. And neurons, the information processing cells in your brain, which a lot of them are processed in your gut, connect to make neural pathways, which are responsible for your thoughts, sensations, feelings, and actions. When you repeatedly do an activity, you strengthen the neural connections involved. So for example, if you were a cab driver who constantly navigated different routes, then you're strengthening the neural connections that develop the spatial reasoning parts of your brain. So this same thing happens when we meditate. While research on mindfulness meditation is still in its early days, some small initial studies have found that over time, mindfulness meditation may lead to increases in gray matter density in the hippocampus and other frontal regions of the brain, which the front part of the brain is for attention, action, those types of things. Increases in gray matter and the left hippocampus aid learning, cognition, and memory. So I forgot the last one. Resulting in better retention of facts and more mindful behavior. So it's higher level behavior, higher level thinking. And increases the interior insula and in cortical thickness benefit, cognitive function, attention, and self-awareness. So when we're doing this, we are upping our cognitive function, our attention, and our self-awareness. Very cool, guys. So basically, this doctor said, my dog is such a little brat. He's like, woo, when I stopped petting him for like 2 seconds. Oh my gosh. Okay. If you look at outcomes 6 to 12 months after meditating, usually 20 to 30 minutes a day, you can see changes in brain structure as well as changes in function, Rhodes said. And I will attest to this because I'm going to be honest right now. I suffer from something called bipolar disorder 2. And I have suffered from it since I was a kid. And, what's helped me actually to be a healthy individual and have a healthy brain is partly due to my support system, but secondly is meditation and calming my brain down, because people with bipolar disorder, we have an overactive brain. And so meditation is getting the dysregulation that's going on in my brain and regulating it into a more solid, healthy brain. So for me, this is a really important podcast because this is one of the, if not the only thing that has saved my life in my life. And I guess that's another podcast to talk about this through. But, people often wonder about how people get to where they are and wonder why they want to talk about these things and really get real about these things and talk about the benefits. Well, I'm a walking, talking story about how these things work. And there have been times when I haven't really wanted to wake up in the morning, when I haven't felt like what I say or what I do matters in this life. And what has gotten me through is a faith and getting real and meditating and changing my thoughts about myself and about my world. Because if I would have let my negative self-doubt and self-thoughts and all of those things bring me down, my kids wouldn't have a mom, and I had a want and a need to be a better person and a better parent for my children so that they could grow up and be better people. So what I will say is that what this article says is true, and I'm, like I said, a living example of it. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to be back with a meditation that I was taught by my wonderful therapist from Knoxville, Tennessee. And then we're going to wrap this podcast up for today. See you in a few.